little question for you lads, yeah? As United fans, man should actually know this, but I never knew it. And someone come to me in the gym the other day and asked me about it, so I thought I'd ask. Did anyone know who the first black player to play for Manchester United was?
Dave Anderson.
Yeah.
According to online, it's Dennis Walker. Played for the Busby Babes.
Okay.
I never knew about that. Shout out Dennis Walker. But this segment now, we're going to talk about like each of our criteria, what makes a player world class, and give examples of players that we consider world class, and why you might say one player meets a criteria and that's why you call them world class, but another player that does meet the same criteria, you might not call them world class, innit? So let's get into it.
What are we basing this on? Just
yeah.
Players.
So you see last week, yeah? Go on. So this is a kind of an example, yeah? Last week, man said about if Haaland doesn't make it to a World Cup, he'll be judged, innit?
Yeah.
So did man know, because I didn't, that George Best, Ian Rush, Eric Cantona and George Weah never played in the World Cup. Yeah, and I don't hear anyone talk about these things.
Why did Cantona not go? Because
I don't know.
That's
I don't know.
But by '98,
who did George Weah?
I don't know, but this is what my point is. For me to not even know, it means no one cares.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
One second. I'll tell you why. Because in France, Eric Cantona is not a legend. Not as a great a legend as he is to Manchester United.
No, but it doesn't matter.
Wait. Because that's why. You see with Eric Cantona, there were other players in France that were doing better than he was at the time. Yeah, so to United fans, Eric Cantona is a legend and he's an all-time great to United fans. Yeah. But in France, trust me,
that's cool.
They don't chat.
We're not in France. Like that. We're in Manchester. We're United fans. Yeah, so we should know that he's playing. I'm saying.
I think he's down here.
Don't talk about Eric Cantona when it comes to the world.
He's a legend and he was world class in United.
There you go.
George Weah
United fans
up there.
Yeah,
there you go.
Bad boy.
There you go.
What he's saying,
George Best. George Best was a legend.
Who did George Weah play? Who did George Weah play for?
George Best plays for Northern Ireland.
Who did George Weah play for?
Liberia.
Right, so when you really deep it, African teams in them times, think about how difficult it would have been for them just to get to the World Cup. So it would have been the most funded African team at the time with the best players at the time.
There'll always be reasons, but there's always going to be a reason why Haaland might not make it as well. The reality is, and this is why we call MoveDaGoalPosts.
It's not where he plays for, right? Right, so Norway have made the World Cup before without quality players. So what's the excuse? Right, thank you. Let's just say all that. Right, so
no, but there's arguments to both sides. But this is why I said you have to tick off everything because people will find things to use against you.
So for UK, what's your criteria? Because in the group, I've heard man say, "Oh, you gotta do this, you gotta do that," but what is it for you?
I think there's different things in it. So one for me is definitely you've got to be doing it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Obviously we all say, is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5?
What is it then? How many years?
I don't know. I don't know, but it's just got to not be questionable in it because I've learnt my lesson. I've called people world class when they're young, because they've been doing it 2 seasons. And then now we don't talk about them being world class. So was they world class or was they in world class form? So you've got to wait it out and see.
But that's a very good point because I was going to say to man them, so say if with Rashford now, for example, he's had more good seasons than bad, No, but this is what I was going to say. So if you has a few good seasons, and then they have more bad than they had good, you're going to say, oh, they was in good form when they was having that form, innit? Yeah. So if you have more good seasons than you have bad, is it not just a case of the good seasons are your level, but the bad seasons are bad form?
Yeah. But you need to show some consistency.
Yeah, of course.
So in that period, you can't be having one season on, one season off, one season on.
Of course.
You need a run. And that's why I said we always judge players during their career and say, oh yeah, he's world class. But the reality is, you're going to see at the end of the career whether he was.
So that's just made me laugh.
I've got a question. Do you have to win something to be considered world class?
I think by the end of your career.
Down the line,
You have to have a major one.
So
we've
until you
had
win
this though. We had this.
So until you win something, you're not world class then. Because
Yes,
that means that.
no.
No, I'm asking. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, because how I see it is,
Well, it's your criteria.
how I see it is, first and foremost, it's the consistency of the level that you're playing at. So if you're playing at a top level consistently, people are going to look at you as a world class player. But then it's like, okay, when you start to compare you amongst the other world class players in the world, what differentiates you and what puts you in a different category to these players? Evidently, it's going to be achievement, isn't it? So it's going to be what you've won. It's what you've done in moments, winning things, and that's how people are going to look at you and decide whether you are a world class player or not.
But you see, for me, I think people forget. I think, me personally, I have an elite category, and I think people forget that it's not just world class, it's elite. So a lot of players that people will say are world class are actually elite to me. So that's why some people, I would say, are actually world class, because there's another level after that.
Yes, but the elite thing, there's only a select few that get into that category, and that's because of the craziness of what they've done.
I don't think there's no man you can go elite in any of the top European leagues now. There's no I think it's Mbappe.
Yeah, but
Mbappe.
Right now,
alone Mbappe.
So
World Cup, I don't see.
So the man agree that Socrates is a legend.
I didn't see him play that.
But we know about him. He never won a cup.
Well, that's what. When I had the conversation, I said it's going to be very hard to find man that haven't won anything to be world class. There's only a handful of man, bro.
When we had the Harry Kane debate,
so Harry Kane and him are the top two that never won a cup.
Yeah, but you can't make a rule for the exception. So there will be one or two that might have not done it. But when you look at the majority of the mass, how you decide who's world class, it's mainly based on.
This is why I never say there's one thing for a criteria. There's no one shoe fits all in it. Do you know what I mean?
But the majority will always outrule what's less. So even how do we decide who's world class?
No, because check, if I'm looking at Lampard, I'm going to say he's world class based on the numbers he produced year in, year out. If I'm looking at Iniesta, it's nothing to do with numbers. It's to do with what I can see. It's to do with your ability, your control, your technique. So each player is gonna reach a world class status through different things.
But that's
some players are world class just through scoring goals.
But that's what the game's about now. Everyone looks at the numbers to justify world class. Whereas I've said hundreds of times now, but he had a maca game even though he got a goal and assist. He played poor. So, and this is what people run with. They just look at the numbers now and say, oh well,
for me,
he's ahead of everybody else. So
if you're a forward player, your whole ambition and goal is to produce goals, whether that's assists or
that's
goals.
now
Just throughout football.
because Bergkamp wasn't on that and he was world class.
So what? You don't think Bergkamp was part of the link-up play?
Yeah,
That's the goal.
Yeah, Eden Hazard.
It doesn't mean you have to be the direct person. Iniesta was part of the goals, like I'd love to say. The assist before the assist.
But I ain't recorded.
But it doesn't matter.
That's what made him in that category. So how do you know he was doing that from general playing it? He's having a good game. You're watching him. He's generally playing well.
Yeah, but
that's what I think. That's what's missing in the game now. People don't watch that. They just look at the highlights. See what goals were scored. See whose name's on the goal sheet. They're not seeing a man that made the difference, the different pass to put a man through. They don't talk about that.
This is why I used to big up the youth there, Camavinga in that season, dribbling the Champions League, because I said what he was doing as a kid, coming on, despite what you think of his cameo, he was coming on as a kid and he's controlling big midfields and he's changing the game. It's a big thing what he was doing.
Lethal.
No, it's true.
So that, well, obviously nowadays.
So do you think Camavinga's world class?
Yeah.
I think he's a world class talent.
Form.
Wait. You tell the goalpost got me in there. Talent on busy world class.
You see why I can... Do you know what I'm going to say is because he's actually contributing to winning things. There's no other kid around his age that's got more trophies. And that's even... He won at Pingy.
But then that means cross spanner in. If he fell off today, He's still world class, and this is what I'm saying. Luka Modric, Toni Kroos,
I'm seeing Camavinga in two positions perform to a high level. So he goes left back. He's one of the most solid there.
You see Modric, for me, when you start talking about players like that, you're talking about elite because you're talking about.
This is what I mean.
You're talking about guys that you compare him with the greatest ever.
Elite.
Yeah. When you talk of Modric, we talk about Iniesta, Zidane, Xavi, Pirlo. We're talking about the greatest ever, innit? And that's why I say, for me, certain man, they're both world class, innit?
So when Michael Carrick world class?
I think Michael Carrick was a very, very good footballer.
European class.
Yeah. That's the one.
But check, we just call Camavinga world class.
No.
This is like This is like mad.
But you know what? We're at different times, so Camavinga's not in that time. Right now, for what's going on.
Do you want to know the difference? Do you want to know the difference? Yeah. As much as Michael Carrick can spray a ball, he's what's my man called? The one that's always on United players, ex-Liverpool pundit. Souness. He's a steady Eddie.
Nah, he's not steady.
He is a steady Eddie. Do you know why I call him a steady Eddie? Do you know why I call him a steady Eddie? Do you know why I call him a steady Eddie? Because he's a guy that doesn't really come. He's not like gonna bomb forward and leave gaps. Yeah, he plays very simple and he just sprays the ball. And he just keeps it ticking. Side to side.
What have I said at the time? I think now the art of doing simple is undervalued.
Before he came United, he was more up and down.
He was, but
he went to a different level, so he has to play his role.
Because the guy that does simple now is expected to do the running as well.
Right, so who will be saying is world class now? Not form, like who will be saying stout tongue.
We know
wait, 4 years. Let's just list a few of each position. So if you was to name like 3-4 strikers right now, who would you say?
Haaland,
Salah.
But
they're way forward.
Actual
centre forward.
Harry Kane, Salah, Mbappe.
Lewandowski's elite.
Harry Kane, Mbappe.
Harry Kane's elite apart from he's not won. Like, if he would have won, I'd call him elite, but he's just world class because he hadn't not turned it into.
So you see, like Harry Kane, yeah. I'm glad we brought Harry Kane. We used to have this debate about Harry Kane, yeah, and you might say him being world class, but Harry Kane has consistently performed for 8 seasons. Yeah, but it's his 9th season at doing world class numbers and performing world class as well.
Yeah, but okay, so we got to the point where we agreed. Okay, he is a world class striker, but there was more to that.
He's a world class player.
Player. Okay, world class player. If that right, so but there was more to that conversation. But we're gonna have to have that conversation. Because that was tied around the Prem and whether you would put Harry Kane in your top 5 strikers in the Prem.
That was not
today. That's what that conversation.
I think it was more because he didn't win nothing. That's what we were saying in it.
And that's where we come across with is he world class or not, and this is where the conversation and the debate was. So there's more to that, but we'll come back to that. But if we're talking about strikers, Harry Kane's one, Haaland's one, and Mbappe's another.
Let me just add, because obviously, what do you say about in his biggest moments, in Harry Kane's biggest moments?
I think his biggest moments is flopped.
How many big moments has he had?
You might get one in your career, but if you're world class,
so you're gonna judge man off one moment.
Nah, it's not just one moment. It's not just one moment, but I believe there's different types of pressures in it. So I believe this is why I say I think Harry Kane's the Prem done. I don't believe the Prem gets to.
This is what I was just gonna say. Is Henry a Prem done? Interesting. Henry just a Prem done.
You see why he's not just a Prem done because he's performed on international stage. You've seen it all. We've seen it.
Kane got top goal scorer at the World Cup.
I'm gonna say it again. It's a common thing. It's not no disrespect to him. You have to do.
That's cool, innit? You're part of a great team. What I'm saying in general, you played in 9 finals, you didn't score, and if man are going to judge Kane off based off because he didn't do it, then that's what I'm saying. Like
it goes down to what. It goes down to what Kyle said before. And what Kyle said before. The parts of it comes with how the player plays as well and what they do. And what you would see Henry do in some of these games, he would have a performance where you would see he was a big part of how the team played in these finals. Yeah.
Away in the Champions League at the highest level.
Yeah.
But how many finals has Kane been in to say that though?
But I think the thing for me with Kane was, obviously when we had the conversation, we got to the point where everyone agreed. But I said it was the Tottenham thing. I wanted to see him leave Tottenham and go to a proper team and do something there, and which he's doing now.
But you see what it is with Kane, why I think he's stamped on. Why I was thinking like it was crazy we was having this debate for so long, because I think regardless of the goals, he's world class. He's playing the way he brings the way he brings people into the game, the way he sprays it, left foot, right foot. He can do everything.
Isn't it for like?
We'll wrap that one up.
Yeah, sorry boys, that's me.